If you're going to make one fight scene last for 4 issues and make your audience buy 4 separate comic books to see the whole single scene, then you had better give them their money's worth.
Basically, on the charts that I would put up on the wall, I just wrote for Superman 75, Doomsday for Superman, because it was going to be his Doomsday. Later on, we decided that would be a good name for the character, so that was just like an accident. The way Doomsday happened was organic. Part of what Dan Jurgens had been wanting to do anyway was to give Superman a real physical threat.
We were all trying to beef up Superman's rogues gallery back then with characters more formidable than the prankster.
Dan said he wanted to have a big guy kill Superman, since we were deciding to kill Superman.
We didn't want it to be Kryptonite. We didn't want it to be any of his old rogues gallery. We certainly didn't want to give Luthor the honor. We knew that it had to be epic. We knew that it had to be big. And it's not just that he was a cool-looking character with all these bony protrusions. He's like death itself, the hand of fate.
It's a threat that the Justice League or Superman has never faced before, and to that I mean, you can't reason with him. You can't figure out what his motivation is.
He wasn't a character, really. He was a force of nature.
We have this kind of perfect balance of killing machine, if you would, destroying machine, without any empathetic elements.
It's a very predatorial thing. It's not, oh, I have this diabolical larger scheme. There isn't some faulty point in his plan that Superman can exploit.
It's just devastation that's waiting to happen.
For a fight to be good, you have to have stakes. And you have to escalate those stakes as you go. And if a fight scene is going to last 4 issues, you've got to find a way to escalate the emotional stakes along with the action and intensity.
What we'd already been doing in the Superman books was building up the cast of characters who live in Metropolis, that you already had people to worry about if Doomsday was coming to town. And Superman had people he had to protect, because even if it's Alice, the copy girl in the Daily Planet office, we had a really dense cast of supporting characters.
Superman has saved everyone on Earth dozens of times. Lois and Jimmy, he saves them from mortal stakes every other day. What we did was escalate the stakes through Clark's understanding. He does everything in his power to get the fight away from the city, away from any inhabited territory, knock Doomsday up to space, but nothing he does will work. Doomsday keeps coming back to Metropolis and keeps grinding toward the center of town and the Daily Planet and Lois. So Superman begins as he's starting to fail. He can't keep Doomsday from proceeding. For the first time in his life, he has an inkling of his own mortality. So he goes from being almost cocky through this realization of his own mortality to ultimately accepting that he's got to die, because that's the only way to do his job.
You can't go back after that thing. It's suicide.
I have to get back to work.
There's this natural love and affection that the world has for Superman, and we get to experience that through Lois. It's heart-wrenching, you know. It's you're watching the love of your life, somebody, you know, and to make matters worse, like in this movie, he finally gets to tell her that he loves her, and you know, with that little note, but they don't get to say it, you know, and it's to their face, and just to kind of twist the knife a little bit for the audience, it's you know, like that's essentially his dying words to her, or his last words, you know, I love you. and solidifying that love. And so now she finally gets Clark, she finally gets Superman, but it's at an arm's length. She's there, but she can't do anything about it. It's like Ali versus Frazier, it's like Tyson versus Holyfield. It's that whole, here's our champion, but here's another champion. Like, this is a challenge that they haven't faced before. You see it in the movie when Superman embraces Doomsday in battle for the first time. It's that lock. Superman gets pushed down. It's that, oh, the hell is this, you know?
They lock up hands, and I think they're both kind of jarring to see who's strongest. They make a quick observation. Wow, this opponent is equally strong. You see them both kind of struggling with their feet. You see weight placement correctly. They both kind of realize, okay, equally matched. So how do I get an advantage? How do I get leverage, or how do I get one up on my opponent? Doomsday was a little quicker there. He cheats. One of the arts that I study and still teach is called Krav Maga, and it's mostly geared for street fighting, not just for combat, not for competition. And we give a strong emphasis on improvisation, that you need to improvise to your environment, both utilizing it tactically and you actually maybe even physically utilizing it. You see them both quickly grabbing things from the environment, a piece of broken bridge matter, a car. The cable wires of the bridge get utilized both as bludgeoning objects and also constraining objects. Superman gets hit by Doomsday, he quickly assesses his environment, cuts a baseball bat, if you would, and cracks Doomsday pretty hard with its cement pole. You see, in essence, just brawling in the air, but also in that regards, because they're just tumbling through gravity and there's no ground to stand on. Quick reflexes, which was really cool to see. And it's with something that you can't really capture as clearly in a comic book, is that you can actually see them continuously changing positions. Doomsday, as he gets punched, quickly grabs Superman's cape, twirls him around, grabs, and you can see the headbutts actually happening while they're tumbling in the air.
Doomsday's only intention is to destroy. Superman's main intention is to save people. Superman tries several times to just restrain Doomsday physically, and he can't. It's an immovable object meeting an irresistible force, and so destruction happens.
Man, it is just that, those splash pages. It's those big, when you're flipping through the book and you're going panel by panel, and then you get to that panel of just Doomsday and Superman locked, just titans, gladiators, just locked in combat. And I remember seeing that, and I realized neither of those dudes are moving. Neither one's giving an inch. I remember reading it and feeling kind of like time kind of just stopped for a minute, It's something that we try to incorporate into the movie. It's a lot harder to incorporate into a moving medium, but it's trying to get that operatic stage presence of, that illustrated major moment.
The thing that I think nobody notices is that it really was building to a crescendo.
Over the course of 4 issues, the first issue has 4 panels per page. The next title has 3 panels per page. The next title, which was Superman Man of Steel, had 2 panels per page. And then Dan got to draw a book of splash pages.
It was a conscious thing to say, all right, the month that Superman dies, we're going to ratchet it up visually. We could actually make it feel like the camera was getting in closer and closer to the carnage.
It doesn't just get bigger and more intense. Because there are fewer panels per page, it also speeds up. So it gets bigger and more intense and faster and faster and faster, all leading up to what I think is still the greatest climax in comics history. That fight is so far beyond what any human being has gone through. I mean, even Ali and Frazier had, referee and rules and things like that. As things get more inevitable, the style of fighting changes a little bit, so that you get iconic moment, followed by iconic moment, followed by iconic moment. It's almost a ritual of fate that neither character can escape.
Everybody knows what fatigue feels like. Everybody knows that time that you have to just kind of catch your breath. And it's something that we usually don't see Superman do. We don't see Superman sweat. We don't see, Big Blue get winded very easily. So it was like, let's showcase that. Let's show him stumble. Let's show him pick himself up. Let's show him take that deep breath. Again, it comes down to just humanizing Superman.
What drives you when you are hurt is your ethos, because in this case, it's street fight, and there's no timer. There's not a referee that's gonna tell you to stop. There's not gonna be a blood time, like clear off the blood. It was a fight for, in essence, your life, and what drives a person to fight to that point and beyond is what are you about inside.
You see these giant, big, grandiose things, but to make it visceral, again, it's kind of put it on that human level. Seeing Doomsday choke out Superman with his own cape. No Joe Schmo can come in off the bar and choke Superman out with his own cape. Like, nah, like you're gonna do that, Superman, get out here.
One of the many attributes that makes jiu-jitsu so effective is that one utilizes their opponent's own fabric and clothes against them. And in this case, Doomsday takes that cape and wraps it around Superman's throat. And also, he's facing down. That's another powerful element of jiu-jitsu, where we want to take the back and have our opponent facing down. Generally considered the most dominant position in the hierarchy of where fights can go. And our hero is sadly face down and getting choked from behind, while this brutish space alien has his foot on his back. And then, to make matters worse, he starts stomping the back of his head.
It was about doing something relatable to him. We could all relate to, gasping for air. We can all relate to taking that big, deep breath. Hopefully none of us can relate to getting our faces caved into a brick wall like Superman, but it came down to relatable violence, relatable fatigue, relatable damage, just, on a grander scale.
There should be a cultivated sense of optimism that if the ropes are against you, you're not going to stop. That if you hit a wall mentally or physically, that you still have to have a certain light within you that says, I can still prevail out of this situation. When the tides are against you, your body kicks into automatic gear.
We all knew what it's like to root for the older champ to come back and survive. But what makes Superman's situation different is that Superman isn't just fighting Doomsday, he's defending the world. He's fighting to be a shield for Metropolis and for the people he loves.
My dad was the one who told me about it. That, hey, I saw this on the stands, Superman dies. I thought he was joking. Because that's just something you don't think can happen,
The thing that was great about this Death of Superman era and the talent on the books is that this was 10 guys all working together. That never happens in comics. Everybody shored up each other's weaknesses. Everybody shored up each other's strengths. You're buying into this idea of a real collaboration. And that's where I think the magic came from. You'll never get that again, And if you do, it's going to be a happy accident the way it was for us.
It's a very strange thing to go to a convention as one of the Death of Superman guys. I've had people come up to me, grown adults come up to me with their tattered copy of the first trade paperback and say, "This was my father's." It kind of blows your mind, but what that really says to me is we did pretty much what we set out to do, what DC hoped we would do, which was to get people reading Superman again. And I think we did our part to reestablish Superman as the core basic myth of the superhero, which is not about vengeance, it's not about dark and brooding, it's about, gosh, what would I do if I had the powers to make the world better?
You did it. You saved everyone.
Good. It's all I ever wanted.